On the 12th of February 2024, I started my business. And this podcast is a bit of a celebration of that and also a bit of a reflection of all of the things that I've learned over that time. So, in this episode, I want to go over the 10 things I have learned in 10 years of business, which is a long time. I know a lot of online businesses don't last that long. And I want to share with you a couple of things that I think that I've learned throughout that time that has meant that I have lasted that long. And while I do hope to continue for many more years to come. So I hope you find this helpful. Let's dive in. So thank you for joining me this week. If we haven't met before, my name is Jacqui and I'm a graphic designer and I just love teaching business owners how they can create their own brand and graphics. But today is a bit different. I want to let you in on kind of more of a business lesson around all of the things that I've learned. Obviously, I am just one random business owner who's had a bit of a fun journey along the way. But I do think I've learned a few things along the way, and there's been different people that have input into my life, different things along my journey, different mistakes that I've made that I will share with you today that I think will hopefully be helpful for you if you are running your own business or considering running a business. Obviously, when you hear things and you haven't put them into practice in your own business or you haven't had that experience in your own business, it's hard to take them and action them. But I hope that just sharing my story will help you to kind of be like, Jacqui had that struggle too, or Jacqui did this, and maybe that's what I can try as well. Obviously, every story is different and don't copy my journey, but I do hope that what I have to share with you will be helpful. So let's rewind back to 2020. No, we weren't saying that long ago. 2004, I had pretty much just graduated university. I'd studied a Bachelor of Graphic Design and I wanted to start working at an agency for someone because I didn't think that it was the right thing to do to start a business off the back foot of graduating. But I graduated in a regional town there wasn't enough jobs going around for the 30 graphic designers that had just graduated from my university course. And so there wasn't a job for me. And so I just skipped forward into what I always wanted to do, which was working for myself. That was always a dream. I don't know why I always thought that was what I wanted to do, but I just loved the idea of being able to have this flexible life where I could run a business, where I could see my friends whenever I wanted to. I could have a family if I wanted to. I could be a mum. I could work. I could do all of those things. And I really was excited to do that one day. And so I was like, all right, let's just start running my own business then. And so I think during university, I had started to I'd just done a couple of little projects for friends and family, but things really amped up in 2004. And on the February the 12th, I officially purchased my business name. I registered that. And so that's the start date that I officially use for my business. And that's kind of when things began to kind of really roll into things. Because obviously I'd finished university. I was now able to give as much time as I possibly had to my business. At this point, I was still living at home. So there wasn't like a huge weight on my shoulders of, I need to earn heaps of money straight away, which I think was such a huge blessing at the time because it's a lot easier to run a business when you don't have to rely on it for every single cent to eat and to sleep and to all of those things. So put that caveat in there. I had it easy starting out. And so I made my business name. I chose White Deer. I'll share, feel free to message me if you want to know the story about White Deer. But in essence, I just chose it because I liked it. And the second I thought of it, I thought of a cool business logo to go with it. And that is still the logo that I have today. If you're watching on YouTube, this little deer here, that one there is the logo that I first made when I started things 10 years ago. So wild. And the way that I kind of started things out was working for friends and family, working for my church and kind of just creating graphics for them. A lot of the graphics I did for free, especially for church. For friends, I kind of just charged them probably barely anything. At this point, I was like, oh yes, I'll charge you $20 for a logo. I was so terrified of charging any money, thinking it was like so expensive and like, how dare I be charging $20 for something? And then it was kind of just this slow build up. And eventually I went into a website. It was called Odesk back then. I think it's called Upwork now. And for other graphic designers, feel free to start on places like this. Like, it's not a bad thing to start and to find a couple clients here. But in essence, I found maybe 2 or 3 pretty good clients on Upwork. And eventually I continued working with one of them for probably 8 years now. And we're still got a good relationship. And it was I just found this one really great client. And I just kept on working for friends and family. And what I ended up doing was building a bit of a client base by doing a good job. And I kept on growing my business. I'm about to go into the lessons, so I'm kind of going to sprinkle them in a moment. So I don't want to give away too much at this point. But if I kept on growing my client base, and then I started kind of diversifying a few things. I tried a few things that failed. I'll share about those as well. And then I kind of grew my business and grew my email list, and then grew it in a way that I was like, I want to start a family soon. And this way of exchanging time for money in terms of like literally, I was pretty much charging hourly at that point. So it meant that if I worked, I got paid. If I didn't work, I didn't get paid, which when you have a child and you can't work very often, that kind of setup doesn't work super well. And so I was like, how can I have this business and be a mum one day? Because I was married now by this point, moved out of home and wanted to start a family. And so I ended up changing my business and switching it so that I was now teaching business owners design through a course that I'd made. And so that course was the start of something totally different and a total shift for my business. And there's the whole journey from there. And so I want to kind of take you on a bit of a journey through those years, and also share with you the things that I learned along the way. So the first thing that I really recommend, and this is probably for those of you in those earlier stages of business, and this is at least what I did. I don't think this is what everyone should do, but I just looked for any and all opportunities for work. I was desperate for work, so I would take anything. I would take that logo design for that client that I didn't really get along with very well, or I'd take that, nothing kind of that compromised my values or morals as a person, but in essence, like I was taking any job that a friend or family member would give me, even if it was really cheap, or even if it barely paid, or even if I didn't really love the work. And it just kind of, one, it gave me experience, and two, it helped me work out what I did and didn't like to do. And eventually I kind of worked with a few clients and I was like, hold on, something's shifting here. I actually really love working with women. I realized that was a big thing for me. I know some of my friends love really working for men because they're probably a little bit more decisive sometimes. But I really loved working for women. I felt like we were on the same page about a lot of things. And so I ended up kind of making that kind of more of my niche. I realized that a lot of my niche, a lot of the people I liked working with were online business owners. And so I've kind of focused more into that. And so it was kind of this first tip is just take any and all opportunities, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And that's one of the reasons I love teaching business owners how to DIY their graphics, because especially in those early stages, you don't actually know who your niche is because you haven't worked with anyone yet. So you don't know who you like to work with and you don't know who you're going to best serve. You usually have some idea, but it's usually once you actually start doing the stuff and start doing the work that you make those, you understand those things. And so as a tip is take any and all opportunities and then niche later. Work out what you like and then focus on getting more of those clients. And so, yeah, that's tip number one, is look for any and all opportunities and take them and refine things later. The second tip is to educate yourself. This is a huge one as a business owner. Like, I had never run a business. Actually, that's a lie. I had run a business before. I had a card business, a jewelry business. I sold rocks to my neighbors. So I had a few businesses growing up, but not a real business, you know. And there's so much to know. There's so much to learn. And I just encourage you to absorb all of the information. So for me, it involved a lot listening to a lot of different podcasts. If you're not already, even just people that are really popular, like Amy Porterfield. I binged so many of her podcasts, and it helped me kind of work out all the different things that I could do. It helped me learn how to grow my email list. It helped me learn how to do this. It helped me how to learn how to do that. And so find people online that you can listen to. Listening to this podcast or watching my videos is a really great start for that too. I hope that I can teach you a lot of different things around design and business. And like absorbing all of that free content is what helped me to be really strategic, is what helped me to kind of learn the things about business rather than just guessing everything. And while I encourage you to also absorb like paid content and joining people's courses as well, knowing that you can do that free content is helpful too. So I'd listened to so many different podcasts. I followed a lot of different people on Instagram, and I also did some paid courses as well. And between all of those things, I was able to start to learn how to run a successful and sustainable business. It wasn't just stuff that I just made up from my head. It was stuff that I'd learned from all these different places, and I pulled the things that would work for me, tried some things, realized that wasn't my jam, tried some different things, liked those, used those, changed them and created them and made them my own. And so my tip there, number two, is just absorb all of the content that you can, whether that's free, whether that's paid, and just kind of, you don't have to take and do everything, because that gets overwhelming. Sometimes I have to stop listening to business podcasts because I feel really overwhelmed with all my ideas. As entrepreneurs, we usually have like so many different ideas. And one of the biggest things is to actually learn to just focus on one particular idea at a time, or a couple at a time. And so listen to all the things, take what you can out of it and focus on those things. That's the next tip. The third tip is a little bit similar, and that is to get a coach. So I'm going to say about 4 years into business, I got a business coach. She was a graphic design coach, Anna Dower. She's still doing coaching if you're a graphic designer and want some coaching. And she really helped me to stopped thinking that I could just do graphic design. Like there was more to a business than that. And so that was a really big shift for me because that she really helped me again to grow my email list. Like I said, I learned from podcasts as well. And then what we did was we created a digital magazine, and I had a digital magazine for, I don't even know how many issues I ended up doing, called Toward Magazine. And it was kind of like, you're moving towards your goals as a business owner. And what I did is I just emailed lots of different business owners that I knew, and I got them to write little articles. And as a designer, I just combined this into a beautiful magazine, and I sent that out to free for people if they opted into my email list. And that really helped me to grow my email list, and it also helped me to build connections with other business owners. The reason I did that was because I was like, if I'm a graphic designer, I need to work with business owners, so I might as well grow my email list of business owners. And so I really thought about strategically, who do I want to work with more? It was women in business, women in online business. So I created a digital magazine they would love, so that they would see me, they would see my skills through the design of the magazine. They would be jumping on my email list because they wanted a copy of the magazine. And I was also forming connections with other business owners as I was asking them to write in the magazine. And so there was all these different bits and pieces that worked together that I was able to form connections and build connections with business owners. And that actually segued really beautifully into what I did next, which was creating my online course, which I did not have in the back of my mind at all when I started this magazine. But the fact that I'd started to build my email list already was a huge clincher and a huge reason that course ended up succeeding later. So yeah, tip number 4, I created that magazine. So that was actually, I put 2 tips into one then. One was get a coach, and the second one was grow your email list. So get a coach, which I did, and she helped me to grow my email list. So grow your email list and build connections. That's a really big one. I also want to mention too in the coach, one of point number 3 there. I'm just going to point number 3 and point number 4 straight away. Point number 3, I also got another coach and then another coach. So I went from Anna. She was really great. I finished my package with her. And then I worked one-on-one with a coach, Ali. She doesn't do one-on-one work anymore. And then she helped me to launch my online course, which I'll talk about more soon. And then after that, I stopped working with Ali, and then I was about to have my baby, so I joined like this more an online coaching program, and that was a really big waste of money. It was a big bummer. I learned things from it, but it wasn't pretty worth the huge investment that I paid. That was triple all the other coaching investments that I already invested in. And then I ended up going back to Ali, and I've been working with her ever since. And so my point there is, get a coach. If you are really serious about making this business thing work, find a good coach, because there are bad coaches, as I found out, and invest in them and commit to them. And like, as I've said, I've been with Ali for 4 years or so now, and that's just really helped me to have that consistent input into my business. She really knows my business inside out, and I've got really great accountability to her. And so finding a business coach, if you have the money for that, is something I highly recommend doing. Changed my whole business. If I didn't have coaching, it would be totally different. And while there's some things that I could have done without their coaching, the fact that I had that coaching meant that I was able to really take steps forward. It was meant that I didn't get caught in ruts. Like I was like, oh, I want to try this. Oh, but I don't know how, and I don't know how to do this. And I'm trying to like find all this free information online. Usually coaches are able to help you. They're actually able to help you do the right strategies. Because like you can launch an online course, for example, and be like, hey, I've got an online course. But if you don't actually market that correctly or strategically work out who that's for and what your messaging is around that, it's probably going to flop. And so having a coach that really helped me through all of those processes made sure that the things that I did were much more successful than they could have been otherwise. All right, we're about to be halfway through. Tip number 5 is a really obvious one, but it needs to be said. Do a good job with your clients or customers. One of the biggest ways I grew my business, particularly at the start, was by doing a good job with those clients that I had and them sharing with their friends. Do a good job with a client, they share it with their friends. Do a good job with another client, they share it with their friends. And like I can trace back even the big clients that I still have now back to one of my first clients that I did a really good job with, and she shared me with her friends. Like I can like the people that I have now are the people that I only have because I did a good job at the start. And so just make sure that you're giving a really great client experience. Do your best, whatever that is. Like it's not going to be like your best isn't going to be the same as someone who has been in business for 10 years if you're in your first year, and that's okay. But doing the best that you can, like giving value, communicating clearly, setting up the right expectations, whatever they are, giving a little bit extra, saying thankful, being grateful, and then asking if you can continue working with someone. The best way to grow your business, especially at the start, is to continue working with clients you already have and to ask them to share you with their friends. Those are the 2 free ways to grow your business. And so doing a really great job with your clients is so important. Even now, as I'm growing my design studio, most of those clients have still come from word of mouth. Not all of them, but most of them have come through word of mouth. And so pushing into that really great client experience and customer experience is so, so worthwhile. All right, tip number 6 that's really helped my business to grow and scale to that next level rather than just staying at kind of just graphic designer level, which is totally fine if you want to stay at graphic designer level, like in terms of just swapping your hours for money. That's a totally viable way to run a business. But for me, I wanted to kind of, as I said, I wanted to have a more sustainable version of my business because I wanted to have a family at the same time and I want to do this, I want to do that. Plus, I have an entrepreneurial mind, so I do like exploring and doing new things, which I'm going to go into in some of the mistakes section soon. But in essence, explore some other revenue streams. Can you do an online course? Can you do an ebook? Can you do a digital product? And so for me, I actually explored first doing like a physical product, which is one of my mistakes. I did like a little pack. I'm going to go get it. For those of you watching on the podcast version, I've got my real life. This is like a little pack for those of you listening. It's like a little pencil case that says Fire Up on it. I hand dyed these pink myself. And because my brand at that time was pink. And for some reason, I thought it'd be a great idea to launch a physical product, which is ridiculous. And so what I did was I created this little pack that I would give to or sell to business owners was my goal. And it had a little pack of cards in it, a little inspirational pack of cards. It had a little necklace that I handmade in it. And it had a little USB on it that said Fire Up. And it was a cute little wooden USB. And that had a few different little digital assets on it for people. And while that was really cute and great, it was a big investment, a lot of time, and did not produce much revenue, and I still have plenty at home. So if you would like to buy one of these packs, just get in touch. They're $50. I'll probably give it to you more for $20 as long as you pay for the postage. But yeah, so that was one of my less successful things, but it helped to scratch an itch that I had as an entrepreneur wanting to do something different. Anyway, so that was my failure product. And I probably did a few other things that I don't even remember. And then I launched my online course. And the reason that worked was because at the time I was working with Ali, and she helped me to actually launch that properly. Because I've gone through this in other episodes. Actually, listen to my previous episode 100 and not 151, 150. Listen to that one, and that will share with you some of the lessons I learned from launching and creating that. But in essence, the only reason that worked was because I marketed it well. I spent a long time growing my audience and marketing that well. And so if you're going to do another income stream, give it a good shot. Nail it. Don't just look for lots of different ideas and try those. Like I gave this Fire Up pack that failed. I gave this a really good shot. I went to markets, I went and I promoted it in different places. It just didn't take off. And that's okay. And I learned from that. I learned that I didn't really want to do digital products anymore because it's too much of a scary investment at the start, whereas online products are pretty much free. But the reason that my online course succeeded was one, because I marketed it well and I had a coach help me with that. But secondly, I actually made it go through. Like I didn't just launch it once and it went okay. And I didn't just launch it the second and third time when it kind of didn't go as well. I kept on going. Of course, I've been around for 4 or 5 years now. And the reason that is because I've kept on going. I've kept on improving it. I've kept on tweaking my marketing. I've kept on trying new things. I've kept on doing Facebook ads and Instagram posts and showing up and sending out the emails and doing the thing. And so if you're wanting to do a new form of income, nail it. Give it its best possible shot. Don't keep beating a dead cat if it's not going to work. But if the reason it's not working is maybe because of the marketing, or maybe because you haven't given it enough time, or maybe because you haven't done X or Y right, give it some more time. I think as entrepreneurs, we often think, oh, just try this and then this and then this and then this. And we don't give something enough time to actually see it work. And so sticking it out to seeing it to work and making it part of your long-term strategy rather than just a fun idea, I think there's a lot of power in that. Tip number 7 is to prioritize what you find important in life. If you're a business owner, usually you've started your business because you had some sort of dream around why you wanted to start your business and not just work for someone else. And for me, that was, as I said at the start, having that flexibility in my life, having the flexibility to go on a holiday whenever I wanted to, or just go on a road trip. My husband often works away, so being able to just jump in the car, go with him and work on the road, or spend time with my daughter rather than having to go to work and leave her somewhere else. And all of those different things were some of the reasons I wanted to run my own business. But if we're not careful, we can let our business take over. We can say, oh, I won't bother going with you on that holiday this time because I've just got so much work to do, or I can't go here because I've got these calls lined up and I can't do this because of that. And it's so easy. And like even as a mum, like it's so easy for me to be like, oh, no, I'll just get a babysat all the time and I'll just keep on working. I would love to do that, but I also want to be a mum and I want to be present for this season of her life. And so there's all these things that if I'm not keeping at the top of my mind why I started this business in the first place, I'm actually at risk of not letting the business serve me, but me just serving the business, which obviously you want to serve the business, but you don't want the business to take over and to suddenly take away the flexibility or the freedom or the time with your family or the whatever the reason you started it for. You have to intentionally build it in the way that's going to continue to make that happen. And so quite regularly I have to stop and ask myself, like, is this really what I wanted? Is that holiday we went on was really stressful because I didn't say no to this and I kept this going. Should I have done that differently? Or I'm feeling really pulled between spending time with my daughter and working. Should I change things there? And so continually asking myself those questions to make sure the business is always supporting me. And there's going to be seasons where it doesn't. There's going to be seasons of hustle maybe at the start or seasons of busyness in the middle. And that's okay. But is the long-term trajectory, is it supporting the reason you started that business? And I think it's really important to ask ourselves that question. Tip number 8 is all about branding. This is a really big one, especially for me, because I know people go to my business on my website, on my Instagram, and they are inspired. They think I've been around forever. People thought I'd been on YouTube for ages, even though I'd only done like 2 videos, because my branding and my vibe was professional. And so even if you're just starting out in business, can you utilize branding to help people to think, oh, wow, they've been around forever. That looks really cool. I trust them, or I can't wait to work with them, because you just look really professional. So think about your branding and your graphics and your overall perceived look so that you can actually help your business to be perceived really great from the get-go. Even if you're still like at the start, like working out who your niche is, you can still have really great graphics and then tweak those as you kind of refine and work things out. But having that professional look at the start, which is again one of the reasons I love to teach DIY, because you can evolve and change your brand as it's kind of needed to, rather than paying a graphic designer again. So can you create graphics that help you to show up professionally, and also create graphics that help you to show up confidently? If when you're starting a business, we have enough thoughts in our brain like, oh, people are going to think I'm weird, or I'm showing up online and I'm just this random little girl in an office in like a regional city in Australia. Like, people are going to think I'm weird. Like, if we have a great brand that we can show up confidently with, that helps us to show up more confidently, And so having that branding can do so much good stuff for our mindset and also for the way that we're perceived. So I think that was a really big player in my success too. The next one is something called mistakes. And I've already mentioned a couple of my mistakes. And my point is this: every single business owner makes mistakes, and every single business owner has bad days. As much as like on Instagram, we put forward that, yeah, my business is amazing and I'm living the dream and all those things. That's not every single day. Everyone has bad days. You will have days in your business where you want to quit, where you want to just be like, nah, that's too hard. That client hates me. I'm not earning enough money. This is too stressful. This isn't working, whatever it is. And you'll want to just close things. I can guarantee it. Even some of the amazing business owners that I look up to have said that to me, that they feel that sometimes in their business. And so just knowing that those days will come and that's normal. It's okay to feel stressed about your business. It's okay to want to close it. It's okay to go dig a hole and just hang out in there for a while and not see anyone or talk to anyone, or you want to avoid everything in your business because it's all too scary and overwhelming. That is okay, and that will happen. And I think understanding that for myself was a really big important piece, because it just gave me permission to be like, it's okay if I haven't got it all together. There's always going to be bits in my business that aren't working how I want them to. There's always going to be things I need to clean up, or things that need to be working better, or clients that I've let down, or things that I've done wrong, or things that I invest in that were the wrong decision. There are so many things that I do wrong in my business, and there's so many times where I've wanted to give up, but it's just getting back up and being like, all right, I'm just going to either move on from that thing or just ignore it for a meantime because I just need a break. And so just knowing that everyone makes mistakes, everyone has those really hard days, and that is normal and that is okay. All right, and that brings us to tip number 10, and that is to know your message and go hard on it. This was something that took me a little while to learn. Obviously, as a graphic designer, I was like, I'll design your business graphics. But there's so much more to marketing and messaging if we kind of get more specific around that. And sometimes that will take a few years to organize, and sometimes it will take us knowing our niche and knowing what our message is. But what is the reason your business exists, and why are you doing it, and how are you serving people? And when we kind of get that really solidified in our mind, it helps us to share our message and our advertising in a really clear way, because we're so crystal clear on it, and then our audience gets super crystal clear on it. Like, when people follow me, they know what I'm about. They know that I'm about empowering business owners so they can create their own brand and graphics. They know that I'm about having consistent graphics because there's so much power in growing your business through having consistent and professional branding. They know that I'm about having fun in business and actually doing the work and standing out as you do that. And so what is your business exist for? Who do you exist to serve? And what is your main message? Like, how are you different from other people? And really push into that. Like, people know that I'm the person to go to if you need to learn Canva. People know that I'm the business owner to go to if you need to have a brand designed. That's because that I've pushed into that for years and years. And I've kept that messaging the same. Like, I haven't just shifted gears over and over and over again. I've shifted gears once to teach business owners to use Canva and stuff as well, not just doing their designs. And I've pushed darn hard into that. And so doing that and doing that really clearly is going to help you to stand out. It's going to help you to be the go-to person for that. Like in business groups, when people post like, does anyone know anyone that can teach Canva in my masterclass? Or does anyone know a graphic designer, blah, blah, blah. I get so many people tagging me in those posts. Thank you for that, by the way, because in their head, Jacqui is the person to go to for that because I've shared my message enough times over and over again. I've understood what that is and I've shared it confidently. And I've shared that in a way that I'm like, yes, this is me. I'm owning this. And it's meant that I've become the go-to person for that. Obviously, there's other people that are also in the similar kind of field, but I'm pushing into that in my own little lane, going really hard after it. I don't follow people that are actually doing the same thing as me because it overwhelms me, to be honest. But I just go hard after what I've said I'm going to go hard for. And then people then begin to recognize me and connect me with that message. And when they're looking for that in their business, they come to me because I'm the forefront of their mind for that. So that's another thing is just, really know your message and go hard after it. So those are the 10 tips. I hope that's been useful for you. I hope that's been a little bit insightful for you because, there's different parts of business where I think we just feel like we're so alone in things, but you're not. There's every single business owner is probably struggling with something, is trying to work out something, is trying to budget things and do all of the different bits and pieces. And so know that you're not alone. I think one of the biggest keys to success in your business is going to be your ability to stick it out through those hard things, to stick it out through working out your niche, to stick it out to working out what your message is, and to stick it out through making mistakes and making silly investments, whether it's the wrong coach or the wrong course or the wrong product or the wrong digital thing that you tried, and finding the one that might work and really giving it a good shot, like seeing it through and doing the work to make that work. You've got this. I hope that that's been helpful for you. And if you ever want to work with me in this 10th year of business, I would love to do so. My online course is still available. It's called DIY Design My Biz, and you're welcome to look that up. I'll pop the notes in the show notes, or I've got a graphic design team in my studio that can help you to design your graphics if you are not wanting to DIY. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that's been inspiring, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.